So what was your plan with Justin?
Well, with Justin, I think it'd be really cool to interview. I mean, all my friends,
Yeah.
and just everybody, because I think everybody has a story to tell that's worth hearing. But you don't think about it. You don't think about it because it's your story. You don't think about it because you know the person or whatever. But um, I mean, I would think Justin's had a pretty successful life by most measures. He's got a good job, excellent piece of property. He does cattle on the side. Him and Annie have been together since high school. I mean, that's a pretty cool story just in itself to tell. Um, but one of the main things I want to do with this is like promote other people's business.
Yeah.
And Justin's a cattle farmer. Like that's a business, and it's something that puts food on the table for his family and for other families. Um, I don't know. I just think that it's very interesting. Also, he's an excellent cook, so we can hang out for a couple of hours, do a podcast, smoke some
Smoke some meat.
food, talk about his kind of experience and how he got to where he is, um, and go from there.
Well, he did tell me he wants to do brisket on the one of the Oklahoma Joes because that's a little more tricky because you're regulating the fire. You're not just setting the temperature and letting it smoke for 12 or more hours. You're out there constantly, shutting down the airflow and this and that. So that'd be cool.
Well, and that's one of the things. When I got that grill, I asked Justin if he would come over and help me smoke one day. So maybe we can just do it that way. He
That'd
can
be
bring
cool.
one of his briskets over,
Yeah.
that he raised, and then he can teach me how to smoke that. We can talk about smoking meats and how he became interested. There's so much when all it is just setting up and hanging out.
Yeah. Well, he's a big entertainer too. That's what he likes to do.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we've been going over to dinner to his house for past couple nights, and he cooks food for 10 people. And we're like, we eat it.
He's one of the best cooks
I
too.
know, it's so good. We had Dove last night.
Our friend group definitely knows how to cook. I'll go to your house for dinner, Haywood's house for dinner, Justin. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care. I'm excited to go
Yeah, because I
every
mean,
time.
but yeah, that's probably one of the things that's kept us the closest is we all can cook pretty good.
Pull that microphone a little closer to you.
All right.
There you go. Yeah, it's really got to be in your
It's
personal
just
space.
weird that it's in my face. I feel like it's too close, but
It doesn't do terrible picking up the other background noise or anything.
so it doesn't pick it up.
Nah.
No,
I mean, you can hear it, but not bad.
not overwhelming.
Yeah. And that was one of because I like the back porch and I like the outdoor setting. Um, but I was concerned with the side noise, but it's not really much of an issue at all.
It's like a damn highway here.
Yeah. At least we're not doing the front yard with KREI.
Yeah, I like all your ideas though. They seem pretty cool.
Well, and I just think that recording everyday people isn't being done too much yet. You got like people like that are really trying to be famous on YouTube and different things, but just the people that I come in contact with, I think are interesting enough to have shareable conversations with. Even my friends. Me and you've been friends for
At least, well, it's probably been at least 12 years, if not more.
right since high school.
Yeah.
That's 10. We didn't
I
hang out
mean,
much in high school, but we knew each other.
Well, okay, so I guess the end of our senior year is probably when we became friends. But we're pushing on 11 years this year
That's right, 11.
out of high school. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a while.
One thing that I think I want to get into, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be very expensive to get into, is I want to like make arrows for people. Like, I can tell. So right now in my bow case, I've got 9 arrows. You want to know how many I can use of those 9 arrows because of one thing or another? 4. So I want to have the stuff to make my own, fletch them, do the arrow wraps, different nocks if they want them, cutting them to size, putting in the inserts. I mean, that's a lot of work. And right now, we don't have an archery shop that's close. Like, the closest one you can go to is Cedar Falls, but even that's, hell, well, actually, I've never been there, so I don't even know. Like, it's a pretty good haul, though, ain't it?
20 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, just for the people around here, because we got a lot of hunters. I don't know. It'd be cool to do. Maybe not so much archery, but arrows would be cool.
Just making the arrows.
Yeah, just making them.
Have you made your own?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Ethan had the fletching kits and stuff, right?
Yeah, and he's got the one where you do one. You can do one vein at a time, but it doesn't put any what they call helical on it. Which the helical is like the angle that the vein will set at to give it more spin, because that's what helps the arrow steady itself.
Is the rotation?
Yeah, because no matter what, your arrow's going to come off kind of like this, and then the more spin it's got on it, it'll straighten out and fly more true. So he's got just the one that I don't even think it may put 1 degree of helical on it, but this one I'm looking at buying, it's only $90, but you can put, I think, up to 4 degrees, 4 or 5, maybe, hell, it might even be 7. And you can do different lengths of veins, all the way up to, I think, a 3 or 4 inch. I mean, I like the short 2-inch ones, but I don't know how the length of the vein, what it does for it, but I don't know. I just like I like to try it all, actually.
Yeah, you're talking above my knowledge of bow hunting. I have a bow and I can shoot it. I've killed a deer with it. So people call me a bow hunter, but I haven't shot my bow in 2 years. I haven't shot a deer. I didn't even go hunting last year at all, I don't think.
I thought you shot with me last year.
I may have a couple of times. Last year or the year before.
Well, see, here's my thing is like, you got different shooters out there. Like Justin, he's a freaking sniper. He can shoot anything well. Me, I have a problem with steadying myself. So anything that can make my arrow fly more true or more or straighter, I need to have that. So, I mean, some people don't care. Some people just would rather go to Walmart and buy the generic arrow, but I like to have personalized stuff. And
well, you've always kind of been like that. You've always kind of bought something and kind of made it yourself, or work on your own stuff, and you want to be a master of your own life or something, I guess.
I think it's about confidence in your own stuff too. Like, if I go out and I start making arrows and I build my own arrows and I test my own arrows, I know those arrows are gonna fly straight, and I don't care which one I pull out of my quiver. It's gonna be a good arrow. But say you go buy one from Walmart and they're made in a big ass factory somewhere, one of your fletchings could fly off mid-flight. It could have a crack in it because some kid went up and was, messing with it or whatever.
Well, when you shoot bad, you don't know if it's you or a malfunction in the equipment.
That too, yeah, when you're practicing.
Right.
Yeah. But, there's archery's come a long way, and there's a lot of things you can test out your equipment to make sure it's absolutely perfect. I mean, you can even get into making your own strings, which I think would be cool one day too, but I don't know. That's my thing, is when I do it myself, I'm confident in what has been done to whatever I'm doing. Say it's a table, or when I lifted my truck, or I did it the way I wanted it to be done. I didn't take it to somebody and say, hey, make this 3 inches taller and put bigger tires, and I did it all myself, and I knew it was done right.
Yeah. What let's talk about archery for a second. What got you into archery? Where'd that start?
Honestly, like, Kyle got me into it, but then once I got into it, like, it's like a release for me. Like, it just, you can go out, and
It's very meditative.
it's
'Cause you have,
meditative, and it's affordable. Like, all these guys that get into guns and whatnot, you go spend $200, $300 in ammo and blow it in a day, it's gone. You could just I could pick up my bow today, go out, grab my 4 arrows that are still good, and go out and shoot them. Of course, like I said, you're going to have, you're going to tear a fletching or a vein, and you're going to, you may, if you're lucky, you may hit your arrow when you shoot, so you may screw some things up along the way, but it's like most of the stuff in archery is reusable. Sure, you shoot
if you're starting fresh out, I mean, if you buy the bow and everything all at one time, it's expensive to get into a new hobby. But like we were talking earlier, a couple of $1,000s for a hobby isn't too crazy when you look at what does a motorcycle cost, or like that alternate vehicle, or a boat for the for the lake, or whatever you're trying to do.
I mean, hell, a boat stands for bust out another 1,000.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, that's what I like about archery the most, is it's meditative. Like, I mean, it's just a great stress reliever. And I was thinking to myself yesterday when me and Justin were shooting, like, I'm almost 100% self-taught. Like, nobody said, okay, I mean, a few pointers, but like, nobody said, okay, this is what you're doing. No one has ever said that to me. This is what you're doing wrong, or you need to change this, or this and that. When I first started shooting, like, for instance, when I first started shooting a bow, I would grip my release, and I could feel myself jerking. So all I do is put that one finger, I let my wrist take most of the pullback, and I release with one finger, and I let the release fall. You're gonna less likely to jerk that way, and that's one thing that's helped me, and everybody or some people give shit to people who have kisser buttons, but I have a hard time myself.
What is a kisser button?
It's just basically where you can line up where you hold your bow back every time and have the same sight picture out of your peep.
It gives you a point of reference, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's a point of reference every time, and most people don't shoot with that, but I do, because
yeah, I have one on my boat too.
I want to make sure I have the same point of aim every time. And then, with the sight, I didn't understand when I first got into shooting bows that, because you got the multiple pins. I thought you want to have that pin in the center of your peep sight, but it's not true. You want to have your sight, your whole sight, in the middle of the peep sight, and then use your pin to, you put that on the target, but you want to have your whole sight in the center, and that's changed. I've got a better shot like that, and just some other things.
How long have you been shooting archery?
Oh, I'd say probably 5 or 6 years. Probably 3 really, like, into it. But, I got my first bow. It was given to me by Matt Denoyer. I went out and put new strings and cable on it. Had maybe 20% let off. Shot with that thing for years. Gave it to my brother. He shot with it. Got him into it. He bought a newer bow. And that's the other thing, is so many people do it. Like, it's just like I don't know. It's an entertainment, a center of entertainment, I would say.
I always liked that there was so much that you can do with it. So, like you talked about just shooting guns. I mean, you have to have a pretty big space and barriers, and you can't bother people because of how loud it is and things like that. But even in a residential setting, you can shoot a bow, in your backyard.
Unless you live in Farmington.
Yeah. But the benefit, I think, with the bow is how much other stuff you can do. I mean, I know that there's like sniper and sharpshooting and like course training that you can do with firearms. But like we were talking at lunch, that Farmington, the city, just reopened the archery range. You know, that's been open for decades and then was closed and opened and whatever. And it's got a walk-through area that you walk through, and it's got 3D targets through there with, you know, the animals that you actually get to shoot at live size. Um, you know, 3D targets, and they have some stationary things and all that. So you go out there and spend hours just walking around and getting different angles, and then they hold walkthrough contests. Um, Fredericktown has some of those you can now go to, and you're not just shooting at the same spot every single time. You get to go and travel around and try new angles, and you don't even have to hunt to be an archer.
Well, on top of that too, like there's so many different animals you could shoot with a bow. Like with, I mean, a firearm, like, you know, you use a 22 or a 410 for squirrel, and you use for deer. I mean, you can use
Wide range for
a wide range, but you know, you step up to a bigger animal, you want to have a bigger gun. Now with a bow, really, you could shoot anything.
squirrel to a moose. Right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, you know, you're gonna have your different draw weights. You know, if you're hunting elk, you probably want to be up in that 65, 70 pound range. But, you know, with a deer, you probably want to be in, you can shoot it from probably 40 to, yeah, I mean, you can't go up far enough for a deer. I mean, the worst thing you're going to do is blow through it. But, and how precise you got to be with it, and how uh, patient, and it's just, like, I just, you know, even with, like, deer season, like, Joe Blow and his 3 cousins can go out in public land and kill a deer, but with a gun, and smell like cigarette smoke and this and that, and, you know, have alcohol in their breath or anything like that. But, you know, you have to have some type of discipline with archery, and that's what I really like about it. Because you got to be patient, and you got to be, you know, I mean, you just have to be, it's a lot harder, I guess I should say. Yeah.
There's a lot more skill involved.
Yeah.
And because even though a compound bow can do some amazing things like a modern rifle can, a rifle is going to shoot straight when you pull the trigger.
And blow through a tree or
you know what I mean, right? Something. But your bow is not. It's 100% dependent on really you, on pulling it back right, holding it right, aiming it properly, you know, and everything. So I understand what you're saying, because I've enjoyed, you know, I've hunted with guns and with bows, and I enjoyed the bow way over. I remember the one day that I killed my deer. Actually, I killed 2 deer that day, and it was a pack of 3 that came in, and they walked right in front of the stand, got one, took off. 15 minutes later, the other 2 circled back around, and that's very common in bow hunting. And they didn't hear anything. They have no idea where the other deer go, so they searched back and tried to find it, and was able to get actually another one that day. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of weather factors playing it too. Wind, direction of wind, how hard it's blowing. But sometimes the wind can play in your favor, because if you shoot and you miss, and you see where you miss, because it travels slow enough, you can see where that arrow went. Most likely that deer's not going to know what the heck just happened, so they're just going to freeze. You knock another arrow, you've got a second chance.
Yeah, it's archery is just its own beast. You know, it's been around for a long time, and it's just a lot of fun, I think, to practice and hone your harvesting skills.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably, I mean, I don't know. There's obviously other ways, spears and whatnot, but that's honestly probably one of the first means of killing an animal was a bow.
Like really effectively.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, unless, you know, you got trapping and stuff like that was probably, early on was probably the biggest thing, but not with big game, I wouldn't say. But, yeah, and I mean, the worst part about it, I would say, would be, you know, if you don't make an accurate shot, that deer or whatever getting away. And because I had it happen to me, and it was a gut wrenching feeling. But
A bad shot and then the deer got
yeah,
away, and whether it died later on from its injuries or tried to heal or whatever. But yeah, and that's one of the things that hunters aren't really out there just for blood. You care about the animal, you want to respect the animal, and when you go to make that kill, you want it to be the perfect shot with the perfect arrow that you've practiced for months and months, and you can put in the perfect place, and to effectively execute that animal within a few seconds.
yeah, you obviously don't want them to suffer or nothing like that. But yeah, you want to make that perfect shot, and all hunters aren't like that, especially most rifle hunters. I would say, you know, like my freaking uncle, even my grandpa, they don't sight in the rifle year after year.
Just a second. All right. All right. Well, let's talk. Let's get off. I
Archery.
mean, hunting or
Yeah,
archery for a minute. Let's.
We could go on for days about that.
Yeah. What else you got, Dave?
Uh,
Let's. I want to hear more
man.
about Davey Boyer.
There's not much about me. I mean,
I think I see, and this is what I think is so fun because I think that there is. I think that there's a major story, not a major story, but like a story that can connect with a lot of people, right?
yeah. I mean, I see where you're going with it. Honestly, I have had a pretty cool life, a pretty blessed life. Starting out, not so much. You know the story with my real dad. He got in an unlucky circumstance and ended up losing his life, and that can be hard to deal with. But for me, I've always been like a real believer in fate. What's gonna happen has already been predetermined. With that unlucky circumstance, I got really lucky. I got a great set of brothers, and that's it's crazy how many people don't have a relationship with their siblings. And with all three of mine, I have a great relationship with them. And then to almost be given a second chance, I got a great man in my life that became my father, my dad. He took 3 years old. Like, he's taking care of me like he, like I was his own, without a blinking of an eye. My mom always told us that he fell in love with us kids before. Who's that? Oh, trash truck.
Yeah, it's actually my dad and one of the trash trucks.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he took care of us like we were his own, and my mom always told us he fell in love with you kids before he fell in love with me, and I could see that. So yeah, growing up, had three brothers. They were all into sports, and somehow I took a different path. I don't, I just kind of always been my own person. Got into working on things and doing stuff with my hands, and I've just always been like that. It didn't land me in a great career, but I make enough to have a lot of fun and take care of my family. Never did good in school. Just wasn't for me. Everybody saw that, weren't mad about it. I think I could have done better now than I did. Even did better then than I did do. I've always, valued my friends maybe a little more than they valued me. I see that sometimes, but I don't hold it against them. It's just the way I am.
Yeah.
You know, I went in the
Well, then
army.
I was gonna say, then you did military.
Yeah, I went in the army. Um, had really good luck with that. You know, I was good at it. Uh, I loved it. I hated it sometimes, most of the time actually. But the thing about it for me was, is like everybody hated it. Like we all hated it together. Like, and you know, it's kind of hard to explain. Like it, we were all in the suck together, and that's what made it cool. I made a lot of good friends out of that. Um, one I still, you know, really one I still talk to. I was in with him in Afghanistan for a year, and like we were there together, doing everything together for a year. So it's like I knew him for 10 years, you
Right.
know, because we did everything together, and we're a lot alike. He's a little bit smarter than I am, so he challenged me a lot. Um, I saw some pretty gruesome stuff, uh, which opens your eyes a lot to how good you have it here. Because, I mean, that's their day to day life. I was there for a year and got to come back and live my normal life again. But those same people I saw fighting and living in shit elements, you know, just pure, the worst living. I can't say the worst living conditions. I mean, they had a roof over their head and they loved their families, and but you know they had very evil people that surrounded them. Um, you know, I saw that for a year and got to come back, and I'll never see it again.
What were like? How did that experience impact the rest of your life? Do you think?
I guess it just made me appreciate everything and everybody more. Um, I wouldn't say that it changed me a whole lot because I kind of already felt that way. It just opened my eyes, you know.
And was that the battlefield that was there, and the fact that you've seen life is so fragile, or is that seeing a different culture and how they interact with each other and how they live?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even call it a battlefield. Like, it's not like you would think it would be. Like, where there's gunfire constantly going off, and you know, we gotta call in for reinforcements and this and that. It's not like that. Like, we would walk around and just talk to people, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're getting shot at, or hey, a bomb just went off, or you know, we found an IED or something. It's almost going through normal life, just or it's almost like being a police officer, but like constantly walking on eggshells because you know something around the corner is gonna pop off, and then it turns into a battlefield. Um, so I don't know. It kind of made me appreciate that I didn't have to live like that. Like I don't. But it also kind of made me not scared of what's surrounding me here because there's danger here. Like, you know, I mean, we don't have it bad, but like there's drugs and there's illegal weapons and stuff like that. But
And bad people.
yeah, but like I don't. That's kind of like the norm to us, but the norm to them is probably that plus 100 times worse.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how they feel about it. I don't know. Like, you know, maybe they're not scared. Maybe they're not. Maybe they don't walk around on eggshells. But when I was there, I had to. We did, you know. But that was the craziest part about it. It wasn't like being on a battlefield, and that's what I envisioned when I got there. And when I got there and everything was calm, I'm like, what is this place?
There was that documentary a few years ago, and it was about that they kind of hyped you up to go over there and be in war, and then it's kind of like, hold your fire, don't do anything, and um, I don't even remember the name of the documentary, and it ended with people getting in trouble for stuff. But was that something that you've seen individuals struggle with? Was like not getting that fight that they were promised, or in a sense, or I mean, and it's not even like you're like people are hungry for that fight, but when you spend a year or
Training.
training and preparing and told when you land you're going to fight to the death every single day and everybody is trying to kill you, and then you get there and that's not what's happening there. Did you see that?
I mean, I wouldn't say that they trained us to fight to the death or nothing like that.
Right,
They
I'm probably talking out of context,
they
because I've never been.
from my training experience, it was, you know, we trained to be proficient in our weapon systems we had, and we trained to look out for, signs of explosives and this and that, the different signs, and it was changing day by day because it's like here, technology advances, same thing. Their means of fighting, it it's a it's more advanced than you think it would be, but um, see, I was with the Marines a lot of the time, so and they're war hungry. They're bred to be like that. I mean, they are. So, yeah, I saw that with a lot of guys that weren't getting their combat ribbons. They weren't seeing combat. They weren't experiencing what they thought they would be. Um, for me, I experienced everything I wanted to experience, but it still was safe. That's, because like first time I went outside the wire, which is basically outside of a base, we spent the night out there, and I was like, holy crap, this is really happening. Like, and we had our little guard shifts, and people would stay up and make sure nobody was going to ambush us and stuff like that. And that's pretty crazy to me, but we got in firefights and we saw IEDs explode, and we did all the war stuff, but I never really had a very traumatic experience. It was there was, but it wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it without really going into severe detail that I just don't really want to talk about, but it's just it was exactly, or it wasn't exactly what I expected, but it was, man, I don't even know how to say it. It's like I got to see what I wanted to see without really just getting messed up. Just not losing sleep over it and stuff like that. Has it changed my life? Yeah, like
But I mean, you can never live a life without experiencing it, so it's hard to say how much it changed it, I guess. But yeah. So
I mean, like, do I have a lack of patience? Because that's what you need when you're over there. Is you have to have a lack of patience. Because when you tell somebody to do something, you want them to do it now. Because there's not time to second guess or second. You just have to react. Of course, you want to think about it before you do something.
But once the judgment's made,
you have to act on it. I mean, it's so. When I say, "Hey, will you go get that water bottle for me?" and somebody's like, "Yeah," and you're just like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind. I just asked you to go get the water bottle and you're not getting up and doing it." It's like things like that just still this day bother me, and I try to work on it.
I have some of that myself from the business.
Yeah.
Everything's life or death,
Yeah.
Of course, even in business, it's not, but it feels like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't have time to do other things that aren't important.
What, because you did military and you've been at your job since then. What did you do? What was your actual job in Afghanistan when you were there?
So a lot of it was, just really honestly going out and passively gathering intel. We couldn't go in and interrogate somebody, but we could say, "Hey, my name's Dave. What's your name?" And just start a conversation just like we're doing right now. And they would once they got comfortable with you, they would let stuff slip. Like I had this one guy telling me that he went to Pakistan every day, or not every day, every month, or something like that. And that was a big red flag. So, I report that up to somebody, and they, keep eyes on him and figure out what he's doing there. But, we did some non-interference messages. We had a big loudspeaker um, that we could play stuff over, and non-interference. We let them know, hey, we're coming in, we're gonna take over, and you guys just need to deal with it. So please don't get in our way, otherwise you're putting yourself in danger. Um, the one, a couple of times I would play like messages that would pretty much call out the Taliban, call them cowards, stuff like that. That was to draw fire, because if they hear that, they're gonna start shooting in the directions they hear this stuff coming from, and then we find out where they're at, and we do our thing. Um, so it's called psychological operations, but it's basically to persuade, change, or influence the behavior of a certain target audience. Like we try to formalize their government, we try to get their kids in school, and a year sounds like a lot of time to do that, but
It's really not.
no. Especially when you got stubborn, stuck in their ways, old people, because you talk to the elders of the tribes and the villages and stuff like that. You can't. It's not like here where the trends and stuff are you start with the young people and you work your way up. So it's basically exact opposite. It starts from the top, goes down. So they're still stuck in that respect your elders thing.
Which is good until you're trying to change an entire
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm sure that that's difficult, and that's something that we don't really have any experience with is getting our culture changed like that. Um, whether it be it, for the better or for the worse or whatever, like it just doesn't happen. Here.
I'd say we do on a smaller scale. Like we're not trying to change the way our government. Well, I guess.
I mean, there's definitely like disagreements, but like there's not like armed guards from a different culture coming in.
Yeah.
And like the changes that are being done in America are within our existing culture anyway. Those people are already here. So I don't know. It's a very interesting, I think, position.
Yeah, it's hard to put yourself in their shoes. I mean, you can say what you would do all day, every day, but
well, and even from me to you, even as close as we are, like we live in the same town, we've went to the same high school, very similar lives, and hang out all the time, but our opinions on that or our experience on that, our perception is so dramatically different just because our own life experiences. The years that you spent in the military, the time that you spent there, and me not.
yeah. Well, and I just think it's hard to really put yourself in someone else's shoes. Like people say they do it all the time, but until you've been on the other side, you have no idea. I couldn't tell you how it would feel if somebody in full get up, what we wore, a bulletproof vest, had a gunsling, bunch of magazines. If I came up to you and tried to start talking to you, wouldn't you be a little nervous?
Right, yeah.
I would. I probably wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
But that's what they're used to. They've seen it for years and years and years. I mean, obviously the battle attire has changed over the last 30 years, but I mean,
A soldier's a soldier.
Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, we worked on it for a year and we didn't get hardly anything accomplished. Which we were the first ones in there. That's probably the hardest, but I'd like to say we made a few good impressions.
And let's jump off of the military because I mean there's so much that I'd like to go over. Let's talk about imminence because you to me have been a giant influence in getting me to imminence and spending time there. Obviously, your campsite now there is the center of this group's
Our group
kind of
of friends.
destination.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I've been a lot of places. To me, that place is probably on the top 10 most beautiful places I've ever been. I mean, you've seen all the pictures that Drew's posted of all the different rivers.
And I've been to Oregon and Washington
and they're great. They are, but and even like my mom's friend Suzanne, her daughter married someone from London, and he came over.
Oh, yeah, I met that guy.
Yeah, Hugh. He came over and they didn't go to Clearwater or Current River or Jack's Fork or anything. They went to Black River, and he was like, I've never seen anything like this. And that's what draws me to it. Like, I know it's one of the most pleasant places to be. It's beautiful.
Well, it is. The rivers down there are the national riverway. Like, I don't know why it's not a national park.
Yeah.
There's plenty of towns in that area that absolutely could be. It is a national riverway, and the rivers and the springs are just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I like it so much, is just because it's so beautiful and it's peaceful, and there's a lot to do.
That's about a 2-hour drive from here?
2 hour. Yeah, it's like 87 miles, but with the winding.
roads
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's about 2 hours, so, but that's my paradise.
But like you hauled your camper down there at the beginning of this year, right? And you
Yeah.
guys paid up and you got the campsite for the whole year.
Yeah, so Memorial Day weekend, we hauled it down there, and it's been there ever since.
And it's parked at Salty Jack's, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so this bar is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Because it's on the bank of the river.
Yeah.
You can on the lower level it's open, and there's the river. It's right there.
And there's been 3 foot of water in the top level of that bar.
That's crazy.
And that bar is what? Probably from ground level, it's probably at least 50 foot tall.
Yeah. Yeah, all the way to the top. So you probably had water up
Plus-
30 foot something high.
Plus the river at right now is probably from ground level where the bar is probably 6 or 8 feet
Below it.
below it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're probably talking 40 feet of water.
That's crazy. But that area does flood.
Yeah.
But it's just beautiful. Eminence is, I don't know, I talk about Missouri a lot. When I went out west with Drew in 2015, I drove cross country in 2015. First over to Myrtle Beach, and then came back, and then went out west
Mm-hmm.
with Drew. And I really thought I was going to fall in love with the Southwest. But when I got there, I was like, it's not green. There's no water. Nothing lives here. Like, we got to go. Like, people aren't, nothing lives here. If we break down, we're going to die tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, that's, that's the way it felt to me. Now, I go in Missouri, I'm like, I'm good. Like, give me a backpack, pocket knife. I'd love to have a hatchet. And if I can do that, like, yeah, I'm good.
We'll
Come
be
over
okay.
for dinner tomorrow night.
Yeah,
What
we'll
do you
have
want?
something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and
I'll have fresh water, some fish, maybe some squirrel, possibly a deer. Like, if it was, outside of all hunting regulations, forget all that. I'm just talking survival. In Missouri, yeah, I got it. But in the Southwest, there's no life. There's nothing there. Once we got to Northern California, I was like, okay, I could live here. And I loved California, Oregon, Washington. Those areas were all gorgeous. And staring at the mountains, and obviously passing through Colorado the first time, I just fell in love with the different landscapes and the giant landscapes. But then I came home, and we have our Ozark Mountains here. So I did some research on those and found out that our mountains actually used to be the tallest in the world. That at one time all of North America was underwater in an ocean, and the St. Francis Mountains, the ones right here in the county, they were sticking out as islands. They were the only dry spot in North America, millions and millions of years ago. And our mountains are 4 billion years old, I believe the Ozark Mountains are. They were formed 4 billion years ago. And like the Rockies were only formed 140 million years ago.
Jesus.
So
that's pretty crazy.
It is, because the mountains around here used to be over 14,000 feet. We had oceans that they stuck out as islands. They've been, absolute skyscrapers like the Himalayas and the Rockies and things like that. And now they are whittled down to small hills, but they have some of the rarest geology and exposed geology because of how old they are and how much they've went through and how much they've eroded. It's one of the top granite sites in the entire world because the granite isn't at the center of mountains because the mountains are gone. Right. And so it's really readily available, along with a lot of other things. So coming back here after that trip, I was able to appreciate Missouri in a way that I just hadn't before. And obviously getting into hiking and going out and understanding more of our nature and more of our history, it's just really kind of opened it up for me and made me appreciate this area more.
Well, that's like, I had many conversations with Mohan about all the different places and that we could live. It's like, dude, I'm never going to leave Missouri. I said, Missouri's like one of the only places you could literally get in your car and almost drive to any point in the United States in one day. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's beautiful here. It has a lot to offer, like you said, the mountains. I mean,
the outdoors in Missouri does not get enough attention. And that was one of the things Eminence did. This year I got a mountain bike, so I got back into bicycling. And, when I was younger, I rode, not BMX, I didn't race or anything, but like we would build bicycle jumps and big ones and then the dirt bikes and everything else. So to stay active and do something physical, mountain biking has a huge interest to me. Eminence is the #1 mountain biking place around here, and they have some of the most amazing trails down there.
Oh, yeah.
They also have the most amazing riverways to float on, whether you want to kayak, canoe, raft, or get a cooler full of beer in an inner tube and just float and let the day take you where it's going to take you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably one of my absolute favorite things to do is get in a canoe or a kayak and just go. Like that trip, me and Mohan and his dad and his brother and Drew took a 40-mile float. I believe it was from Acres Ferry. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was. But 40 miles in 3 days, and we paddled their asses off, and it should have been just kind of, it shouldn't have been as fun as it was, but it was an absolute blast. And, I'd like to do that again.
And that's even something that most people never even get a chance to do.
Right.
Hop in a canoe and kayaks and go camping for 3 days and float down the river. Like, nobody gets to do that. You pull up to a river bar and, this is where we're going to make camp for the night.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
You choose it, and there's no electric, there's no fresh water, you got what you got. And
there's no campground.
Yeah.
Because that's what I didn't. When I was a kid, my parents would always go camping, and we go camping at campgrounds. And I always desired to go camping at not a campground.
Right, more primitive.
Yeah, and it took me until I was an adult to be able to be like, no, I'm putting a backpack on, I'm going to go camping. See you guys Monday. And it's so much fun, I think, being completely away from everything, and you're the only person that you can see. You're out in the middle of nature, and you're the only person that you can see.
And count on. Because you can't just walk down the street and go to the gas station and get a snack at midnight, or you know what I mean, or
yeah,
you can't. Oh, I forgot the butter. Let me run to the local grocery store and get it. You got what you got, and you got to make it through.
Yeah, I think it really it. I don't know if humble you is the right word, but in a way, that's kind of what it does. It puts you more in perspective with yourself. Like, I really need other people in my life because I don't know how to make butter.
Yeah.
And the ice cream that I want right now, I have no idea. I couldn't produce that either. So I need other people in my life, to satisfy my needs. And then it's also really nice to develop those skills by yourself.
Yeah, but it also it gives you a peace of mind. Like, I really don't need that. I can live without that.
Right? How can you live for 3 days without your couch and a TV
Yeah.
and be perfectly happy?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't get me wrong. I enjoy having my camper and the creature comforts and stuff, but I do really want to do another like primitive canoe, cooler, tent. Probably take an air mattress if Hiley goes with me. Actually, I'd probably take an air mattress anyway. Just sleep on a riverbank.
Yep. Well, that's what I've went backpacking now 3 times, and me and Courtney will do some more this fall, which is almost time. We talked about going this weekend, but I think I have a meeting Saturday. I absolutely love it, and just put my backpack on, and I have my sleeping pad, and we have tents, and I can sleep in my hammock. So I got sleeping options. I've done both. My sleeping pad is only 1.25 inches, I think, thick. It's a self-inflating one. It's okay. I've slept a couple of nights on it. But when we went to Yellowstone, we slept 4 nights or 3 nights on it, something like that, 3 or 4. And then me and Courtney slept on them 2 nights when we were backpacking. So I got 5 or 6 nights on them. It's not too bad, but there's some other ones that I laid on that are self-inflate, that are like 3.5 inches.
Yeah.
That are not only they pack smaller, they're lighter than mine, and they insulate better and they're better comfort. So that's what I'm gonna end up going with.
Well, and yeah, I mean, you gotta be able to get up in the morning and go hiking. Like, you can't be down on your back. You gotta have the stuff to be able to do it.
Hoozall actually has a hike it's a hike float package that you hike. I think you hike Saturday, or one day, right? Whatever day you do it. So it's a 2-day trip. You hike one day, and then float the next day. I think that's the way it is. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. So you gotta hike to
the start of the float.
That'd be awesome.
And then float back down to the campground. And then they did that on Cinco de Mayo. They actually had a big one. And then they had food and margaritas and stuff for everybody back at Hoozall. So that's the cool thing about hiking. And the first time I went backpacking by myself out at Hahn, I went out there, and there's 3 campsites on the map, but you can also camp anywhere else that you want to once you're on the trail. But they prefer that you stay in the campsites, which I do. I would want to too, because they're already cleaned out.
Yeah.
There's no undergrowth underneath them or anything, and they have the fire rings and stuff there, ready to go. So I got, I don't know, first one, second one, talked to some people, and they're like, dude, the third one, that's where everybody's at. There's probably 30 people down there. And like, the thought of there being anybody else there never crossed my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I was really going for solitude, so that's what I found my first trip. But I was so intrigued by the idea. I was like, wait a minute, there's 30 hikers down there that are all camping at that campsite. They're like, yeah, it's a party, but I mean, if you want some solitude, go a different direction. I was just like, I want to go party with these people that have been walking all day long, like, and now they're going to kick it by a bonfire. That's exactly what I want to do, right? But it takes a certain type of person to get 8 miles in the woods.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that I really wanted to kind of experience. And I want to do that.
Wow, 30 people.
Yeah.
I need some water.
Let's do it. Let's take a break.
No, she did.
Yeah, see, that's what we got coming.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna. We are recording again. Yeah, today's last day of summer for Blaine. He starts kindergarten tomorrow morning.
Whew, buddy. Like, I'm ready for Cam to go to kindergarten.
Yep.
Because I don't want to pay daycare anymore. But it's probably going to be a sad day.
Dude, it's so sad. Like, because something I was thinking about from tomorrow for the next 13 years of his life, Monday through Friday, he's required to go learn something for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, and
he's 5 years old, and he's making a 13-year commitment, and there's nothing. I can homeschool him or whatever, but like he's still required to learn something every single day for the next 13 years of his life. And man, that's a lot, That's just a big step for how old he is. And this is going to be something that's going to dictate really the rest of his life. Because you start with school and you start going Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. And that gets you ready for your job that, is 8 to 5 Monday through Friday and so on and so forth. And I mean, I don't have a normal job. And, some people just don't. So, I mean, it's not saying that that's what has to happen, but
yeah,
it really kind of is,
Yeah, I mean, it just you're pretty much booked for the rest of your life.
Right. Yeah.
Once you
start tomorrow.
Start kindergarten. I mean, you can pull them out of school for a day or two here or there, or a week or.
But up until this point in his life, I've been free to take him. If I had the money and the time and everything else, we could take off to Europe for a month or go out west or whatever we wanted to do. Or I didn't have to send him to daycare for a week if we just wanted to hang out. And this summer, I got to spend a lot of time with Blaine, more time than I have any other, in the past 5 years. So I really looked forward to that. And now it's like he's gone. He's leaving. I mean, not leaving or gone or whatever, but like he's got this obligation now at school. And even me as his father, I can't even override that. Here comes our rainstorm.
I've seen it raining over there.
One thing I did do is I turned down what's called the gain on the microphones. What that does is picks up how much extra noise.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, like, how much does it all capture? So I did turn that down, so maybe it won't pick up too much background noise.
Oh, okay. So if you turn it down, it picks up less.
Less, yeah.
All right.
Wow, it's getting windy.
Yeah. Well, and it just changed directions, too. It was blowing that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always, with the backyard, even this morning, it had a nice little river flowing through here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I seen. Yeah, you snapped it.
Yeah, I sent out the picture, but I wouldn't mind doing a podcast one day with a nice river behind us. One of the things that made me want to use the porch out here so much was.
Did you hear that? What's that? That sounded like a dang tree limb cracking.
Yeah, it did.
Anyway.
Just the conversations that we've all had on back porches. There's been a lot of porches in my life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It'd be cool to pick them up. Need a lot more mics. How many can you get on that thing?
4.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but that's just one. There's no limit to those.
Yeah.
That's just all I needed. The most I think I will ever have is probably 2 guests and myself. 3 people total. You get any more than that, you end up talking over each other.
Yeah. Oh, I'm feeling it.
we're getting missed just a little bit because one of the things I like about this too is that the rain always comes from the southwest, which is over there. So you're pretty protected, under the porch because it blocks you a lot. The house blocks it, and then the screens help even a little bit too.
Yeah, it's a good sitting place.
It is. But like out at the lake, we used to have so many conversations there on the back porch of my cabin, and we always talked about like trying to like record them or capture them or whatever. But even then, and that started 10 years ago, and even then, it was so difficult to do any of this stuff. None of us knew anything about what we were doing as far as this stuff goes, so we never tried. but now I want to.
Yeah. Could you put maybe 4 mics out and turn the gain up to pick up? How much could you turn the gain up to?
Well, I mean, you just wear like different mics depending on what you're trying to do.
How much is one of them mics like you put on your?
It all just depends, but they're not that expensive because that's what I got a couple of those too, so that I could do like hiking podcasts, so that me and people that hike, we could hike out a couple of miles into the woods and go to a really cool spot and then just do one there. So I bought the clip-on mics, and what I did is I just bought each individual voice recorders, like the old-time recorders that people put in your face.
Yeah.
A digital one of those that had a mic. But actually, last week I tested it, and the mics have quit working. I don't know if the battery went dead inside the actual microphone, or what, because the voice recorder still works fine, but the mics went out.
That sucks.
So I might just be able to order replacement mics, or it might just be the battery that's died in them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you can wear, like, you can get a lot of those and clip them on, and then you're just free to move. You don't have to be stationary.
Right.
You're not in a chair. It just clips onto your collar.
They're really coming down now.
It is. I wonder how this looks in on the camera.
I don't know.
The gutters seem to be doing okay.
Huh?
Said my gutters seem to be doing okay.
Yeah. But it looks a lot cooler over that way.
Yeah.
Got the big old trees in the background, and hell, you might get your river today.
I might. Yeah, I was here this morning, getting ready for fall.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always a mixed emotions for me on that. I love summer. Kind of get tired at the heat during the end, which we've been really lucky in August, so I'm not really tired of it yet. And I love fall weather. You know, I love throwing on a hoodie and some blue jeans and sitting next to a campfire. But I hate what's around the corner. Because I hate winter. It's,
Yeah, winter sucks.
I mean, we don't even get any snow anymore.
Yeah, that's... I can deal with winter, and the cold's not too bad. What I don't like is when it gets, like, super cold, 10 degrees, you know. About 10 degrees is where I'm kind of like, it's cold outside. You know, anything above that, I'm okay. 10 degrees, I can put on a base layer, nice pair of jeans, you know, some thick socks, couple of shirts, I'm good, you know. But it's like your fingers and your face and stuff like that. Now your exposed skin gets cold when it's out. And if you have to do anything with exposed hands, you can't. I mean, you know, that's what your job is.
Yeah, I can't wear gloves. The wires are too small, you know. It just sucks all the way around.
Or you just freeze, and your fingers and hands get all chapped, you know. So yeah, the winter has some downside. Like we just don't get snow. We might get 2 inches in February, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But this is how our seasons change. I mean, for the past few years, it starts raining, and then in a month it'll stop raining, and it'll be the next season.
Right.
Like that's what.
Yeah.
Just it'll be hot, and it's been raining like nonstop almost for the past few weeks, and it will rain. We got a few more weeks of the rain that's going to be coming. But then one day it's going to stop raining, and everybody's going to need pants and a hoodie.
I hope you're wrong. I want one more little hot spell.
Well, you might get one, you know, but like literally that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is. It'll rain. It'll stop raining, and then, you know, swim trunks never come back out.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. We can go for a winter swim.
No.
On a real cold day, we'll find like a 30-degree water. We'll go down to the springs where they come out at 60. Yeah. And that way in the summer, they're ice cold. But in the summer, when it's only 10 degrees and the water's 60, it'll be like a sauna.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, in the winter.
Or if that's... I don't know. You try it first.
I've went swimming at night, like when the water was really cold, and then you go back at night and it's 50 degrees and the water was 60, and now it's like, oh wow, this is warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that.
You gave me cold chills thinking about it.
Yeah. Do you got anything else, like big things coming up or planned for the rest?
No, I think we're pretty much winding down. Dove season starts pretty soon.
Do you do any dove hunting?
I am this year. I haven't passed, but I'm excited to do it this year because dove is pretty good.
I know I've ate it at
Yeah.
Justin and Haywood's house. It's
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, it opens September 1st, which kind of stinks because it's going to be it's going to be the opening day of dove season is going to be on Labor Day weekend, but
I would imagine Labor Day's at Eminence.
I'm not sure. I'm honestly, I probably won't go. Probably won't go. Because I do want to dove hunt. And I don't know when I start back to work. I don't know.
What they'll be putting you on.
Yeah. So.
How long have you been off?
I think it's, let's see, a month and a half, almost 2 months.
So by the time you go back, it'll be like right at 2 months.
No, well, okay, so no. Well, I'll go back next week. So
Right.
it's been about a month and a half now. So.
That's the. I mean, Dave, for as long as I've known you, that's the longest you've ever been out of work. Oh, you've only had one job since you got back from the military.
Well, I got back start of March, middle of March, and I started work middle of May or end of May.
But even then, you still had drill, didn't you? Maybe not.
I don't remember when I went. No, I didn't have to go back. I did not have to go back till August because the way it fell is I didn't have to go back for a certain, like 45 days. I had 45 days off of that. So I think at the end of my 45 days, like before the end of it, they had drill like towards the end of it. And then July we didn't have one because we never had one in July. And then went back
because that would be July 4th weekend. Yeah.
Went back in August.
Okay. So I guess you had that time, and then that's
pretty much been it.
Yeah.
Other than when I was in school, but
right. Yeah, before you started working.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I don't think we have anything else right now to go over. There's definitely more, I think, to get into, at future podcasts. I'd like to do like Justin's for skeet shooting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can just set this thing up in the corner. Obviously, we can't be talking while we're shooting or anything, but, it can be there. We can get together and barbecue and just continuously rotate in and out for 20 minutes just to be funny, just to tell jokes, yeah. We can come out, one night and just have a couple of beers and get a couple more microphones and, have four of us, here. So I'm really excited to have these conversations with, friends and family members and people I find of interest. So thank you for being like the first one.
Yeah, I'm the first.
Yeah. Charlie came over. That was the first time testing all the equipment. And then this has been the first one of actually, okay, I know where all the buttons are now. And I know what to expect when we hit record. So let's see what we got.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, especially watching them.
Yeah. I got some good ones. I think that Justin Underwood would be fantastic. Obviously, Kyle would be a lot of fun.
The Waylon and Troy one would be fun.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast all by itself.
Yeah, well, even having four of us on here would be fun.
Yeah.
because especially somebody else that's a little more goofy and
Well, because they also like to share.
yeah,
You know, that's the thing is that they like to share some of the stuff that they, you know, the knowledge that they have. So I don't know. I'm excited to do that one. Like I said, I talked to Troy about it, but I haven't talked to Waylon. Got to get that set up, and eventually I'd like to do it out at the brewery. I just think that's the best backdrop.
yeah, it'd be cool.
And adds a little bit more to it. So yeah,
All right,
that's it. Well, thanks for coming, Dave.
Yep.